Cute. Well, we have been looking forward to this all day long. John Taylor experienced something very few people get to experience in their lifetime: sheer, unadulterated rock superstardom.
As co-founder and bassist of Duran Duran, basically he helped define the music of the 1980s.
And in his new book, In the Pleasure Groove, John opens up about that wild ride at the top of the rock world, the good and the bad, and we are thrilled to have John Taylor here.
That word, unadulterated. There's something scary about that word, isn't there?
Oh, you know, it really is our pleasure to have you here this morning.
Thank you.
I like the title, too, The Pleasure Groove.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about anything that you do. It doesn't matter how good it is or how pleasurable it is. If you get stuck in it and keep doing it, it's going to turn banal in the end. Yeah.
First off, you just said banal, which we hardly say in this country, which is great.
Which is now our word of the day.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Okay, you can feel free.
Use it at home, kids.
Yeah. Tell us about your first trip to America.
Oh,
You thought this was going to be big time, Manhattan, New York. And where did you end up?
Yeah, well, the first show we played was in Hicksville, Long Island, Leviton.
Yes.
And we flew in on Air India, and we saw the lights of Manhattan, as you do, and it was a place we'd always wanted to come to. I was such a big fan of the bands out of New York. And we got in the car, and none of us were really we weren't that, my geography wasn't that good. I hadn't connected New York, the state, and of course we drove west, I think.
East
to Long Island. Yeah, and we were like, and the city was disappearing in that direction. And we were, no, we want to go there. So we had to pay a good times tax of about 2 days, I think, before we came back into Manhattan.
A good times.
A good times tax. I like that. Well, I was telling you, John, I really enjoyed the book, and I really love how heartfelt and how real you really tell your story. And you said it was so important that you talked about your parents and really told their story. Tell us about that.
Well, I lost my dad coming on three years ago, and I mean, they had such a, compared to the experience I had, I mean, my dad was a war veteran. He was a POW for 3 years. Really didn't share it when I was a kid growing up. I really only came to, I found out most of the truth of his experience writing the book, actually.
You said it wasn't until he was about 80 years old
that he kind of started sharing. Yeah, and then that's all he did.
That's so impactful.
He went from not talking, yeah, exactly, and then you couldn't shut him up. Take him to a Japanese restaurant. It was hell. But, you know, I did want to memorialize them in some way because no one else was going to. And that was my primary motivation for doing the book, and then I had to start talking about these other guys.
Well, no, you talk about family, your family, and then you also talk about your family, which was the band. And I was so surprised that you could even remember half of the stories. I mean, how was
Have you heard of Wikipedia?
Did you have to?
A timeline?
You looked up yourself,
No, I mean, I got so much, you know, I mean, so much has been chronicled, you know, and I've still got all the old schedules. So if I needed to check on a date, you know, it's all there. And actually, I've got a pretty good memory for.
But facts and figures, we can look that up. What is it like to be a rock superstar?
It's good. It's good.
You
guys are like 80s
read the book, right?
I was a huge fan of music, you know, and I talk about that in the book. I talk about being a fan, because I was a real fan before I became a muso. And yeah, I mean, it was everything and more, you know, and it continues to be. I mean, we've actually had a fantastic couple of years since the last album came out. I was really happy to get to write the book at a time where we're really loving each other. The band's really been getting on. We've been playing some fantastic shows, and so it's written from, it's not all about the past. It's rooted in the present.
Yeah. Well, now, what about your relationship with Nick? You talk about that in the book.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, Nick and I were like the Gemini twins. We're both only children, lonely child. You know, we have a profound relationship. Yeah. He was the first person that I took a copy of the book to, and he smelt it. He loved the way it smelt.
Okay, that's a good start.
Yeah, I guess so.
No.
Interesting.
Now that you mention,
I love how, again, early on, you connect, even now, writing songs with your Catholic upbringing and going to church every day with your mother, and the songs that you still pulled from your childhood, and how that's impacted your writing even now.
Right. Well, that was the first exposure that I really got to popular music, and not that it's popular music, but the kind of songs that they sing in church. You know, they've got to appeal to people from 5 to 95. You know, when you think about that, and it's less about the lyrics. I could really care less about that, but melodically and the arrangements of those songs are really sound. And then the Beatles came along in 1962 when I was 2, and That was it.
And your mom loved them.
Oh, yeah. She was a Liverpudlian, so...
Yeah.
Now, from that to writing this book talking about drugs and alcohol, was it hard to go there?
Well, it was necessary to go there. I wasn't going to write the book without that, because getting sober has been such a profound experience for me, and it's enabled me to have a life now, you know. It was a struggle, sort of like my late 20s. I needed a makeover, and I got one. I got such a fantastic education at the rehab that I went to here in the States, and I kind of wanted to let people know that there are those. I mean, it's not that we don't know about rehab today, everybody knows, but there are really some fantastic opportunities for people with problems.
What do you want to do? How long do you want to do this?
Till what? Lunchtime? No, I mean, it's all good, you know. We just keep rolling on. We're going to start writing new songs spring, I believe.
But you know, it's so surprising because you hear about a lot of bands that lose touch with each other and they can't stand one another. I mean, the Rolling Stones are a famous example of, you know, their riffs and you guys.
But then they can't live without each other.
Exactly.
Either.
So there's like this huge relationship there. But now you in the book document about meeting everyone. Princess Diana. You also met a young singer named Madonna that a lot of us know. That can you tell us a little bit more about your meeting? Madonna?
Yeah. Well, no, that was like actually that was a nothing meeting. It was at the Gardens.
Okay.
And she was working on her second album with Nile Rodgers, and Nile brought her because, you know, he wanted to introduce her to us. You know, we'd got a relationship with him. She wasn't interested at all.
She was presented to you.
Really?
Yeah, she was. I think it's the only time she's ever been in a lineup to meet anybody. You know, she didn't like that.
Yeah.
I think she felt we should have been lining up to meet her. But you know, I mean, it's been most of the people that I met along the way that I idolized were always so charming and encouraging. You know, it's one of the reasons we're still doing it.
Right.
Yeah, because...
Well, the book is charming and encouraging, too. So get it, In the Pleasure Groove by John Taylor. Really a good read and thoughtful, too.
And
so
good photos, too, in there. Yeah.
Thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
And sharing your story. We covered a lot today. We really covered a lot today.
It's like rock and roll history.
I know.
How do we even sum up 3 things we learned? I really love the takeaway with Chloe that you don't have to have a high caloric dessert to really kind of satiate yourself.
Yeah, and I also learned from the moms that, you know what, talking about politics with your kids, it can be a really good thing, and it can be a healthy debate at home.
And President Obama had a lot of stress in his right thumb last night.
Oh, yeah, that's what you learned.
Very early in the show. You've got to watch the whole show.
Yeah.
Hey, tonight you're going to want... Oh, I know that you can hurt yourself. Tonight you're going to want to be at the book review in Huntington, Long Island. You'd have to go east, John. Actress Valerie Bertinelli will be there signing her new cookbook, One Dish at a Time. That's at 7 p.m. at the book review.
And coming up tomorrow,
we're going to talk to her. Valerie Bertinelli is going to sizzle on the couch with her new book and her secrets to success and just be as sweet as ever.
And Rock the Vote. David Tutera shows us how to throw an election party that all sides will cheer for. He's awesome. That just about does it for us today. Can't wait to see him tomorrow.
we had a great time.
Time to share pie with John Taylor.
Yes.
See you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
When a new kind of case
I did not lose my 10